Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're going to visit an old project and make ourselves some toaster tongs. Now today's show is a fantastic project for the bandsaw or the scroll saw. It's a great way to use up scrap. It's a great gift idea, and on top of that, it's a really useful item. In fact, I still have the original ones from the shows years ago, and these things get used more often than I think any other little gadget that I've made out here in the shop. However, I want to make a couple changes to it, and that's why I thought it would be fun to bring it to today's show. So let's head over to the bench and see where we're going to start off. Well, this project starts off with some scrap lumber, and in this case, I'm using walnut. You can use whatever species you like. I've seen these made out of cedar, pine, cherry. You can use anything you like. It will still work. But I'm going to use walnut because this was a couple pieces of scrap I had over there in the rack. Now you'll want to cut them to a dimension of 3/4 of an inch thick. They're 1 inch wide and they're 7.5 inches long, which is actually a little longer than the original design that I made years ago. Not by much, but just a little. So the first thing that we want to do is some layout on here for the cuts that we need to make. But it's kind of hard to see them in the walnut. So first off, I'm going to coat both of these pieces because I'm making 2 of them. I'm going to coat them in masking tape, and then I'm going to use some spray adhesive, and I'm going to attach a piece of just plain white paper on each one of our blanks in order just to make the marking and the layout a little easier to see. Well, the very first thing that I'm going to do in our layout is I want to put a mark right in the center. Give ourselves a center line on the 1 inch side, so a mark right at the 1/2 inch. The next thing that we want to do is in from each one of our edges here, we're going to place a line at 1/8 of an inch in from the edge. Just like that. And then again on the opposite side, just like that. And this is going to represent the arms of our toaster tongs. Now, right at the very end of our stock, right here, we're going to line up with our center lines using a 1 inch diameter circle template, and we're going to round off the back end of our tongs. And now from the opposite end that we just rounded off, we want to come in at a measurement of 5 3/8 of an inch. We're going to place a mark there, and we'll just square that off. And using our circle template again, except this time it'll be a 3/4 inch diameter circle template. We're going to line it up with our center mark and our mark at 5 3/8, and we're just going to draw this inner circle here. There we go. For now, this is sort of all of the layout that we want to do to get the original shape of our toaster tongs. And I'm going to do this on the second piece here as well because I want to make 2 of them. However, that is not all the work that needs to be done. So what we want to do at this point as well is the distance here between these 2 pieces. I'm not even sure what it is. So from this arc to the arc on the end, we're just going to measure that, and that's 1.5 inches. So in the halfway mark between here, our 1.5 inches, half of that is 3/4 of an inch. We're going to place a mark at 3/4 of an inch. Now this part here is optional. This is kind of where I'm changing up this project. And I just want to check that measurement because it doesn't look right. And it's not right. This is actually 1 3/4 between the 2 of those. So I'm going to have to change my measurement here. 1 3/4 divided by 2 is 7/8, I believe. So we're going to place a mark at 7/8. And we'll just check that to make sure that that is right. And it is right. Now we have 7/8. So this is our center mark here. But what I want to do is I want to place a mark at 45 degrees to that line. So we're just going to lay our miter square on here and place a mark. Now measuring at 90 degrees to this line, I want to place a mark that is 1/4 of an inch wide. So I'm going to come out 1/8 of an inch from each side, just like this. And using our square again, I'm going to place a mark there. One here and one here. And this should give us a line that is 1/4 of an inch wide. And it does, and that's just fine. So now at this point, what I want to do is I want to come in from each edge here at 1/4 of an inch, and I want to place a line across there. And on that line, on that center line, what I want is I want to use a 1/4 inch diameter circle template, and I want to round off this 1/4 inch wide piece here right at that mark, just like that. Can you see that there? And I want to do the same thing on this side. And with that layout done, we can take it over to the scroll saw. And for the record, for those of you that noticed that this was sitting here so nicely for me, a little tip for you, or a little trick. Use a little bit of masking tape to hold it to your bench when you're laying out small projects like this. So just before we head over to the scroll saw, what I want to do first is this 3/4 inch diameter circle that we marked here. I want to use the drill press and a 3/4 inch Forstner bit, and we're going to drill that out. It's going to be a through hole. And now as well, we can get a 1/4 inch drill bit in here, and we're going to drill these 1/4 inch diameter circles that we drew at the end of these notches. Okay, so over here at the scroll saw now, with that 3/4 inch diameter hole drilled, I've got a number 7 reverse tooth blade installed in the scroll saw, and I'm just going to treat this as an interior cut, and we're going to start here at the edge of this circle, and we're going to follow all the way along our line at 1/8 of an inch in from the edge of our stock. And with that first cut done, we can backtrack our blade in here, and we're going to cut the opposite side now. And there, essentially, we have the business end of our tongs, but we still have these 1/4 inch holes that we need to deal with. And just like we did with the longer section, we're going to treat them as an interior cut using that 1/4 inch hole as our blade entry. And we're going to finish off those cuts and bring them to the outside edge to separate them and make them more of a slot. And we'll do the same on the opposite side. The next step, guys, that we're going to do is I want to take this over to the belt sander, and we're going to sand off this rounded profile at the back end of our toaster tongs. And this would be the general shape of our toaster tongs right now. Very functional, very easy to use. It's a little thick here at this end where I veered off with the scroll saw, but we're gonna sand all this anyway, and we can thin these out however we want, custom thin them to the thickness that we wish, just by hand sanding. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. But now there is one more thing that I'd like to do, and it's completely optional. Again, I have this 1/4 inch barrel magnet. It's half an inch long, and right up here at the top, just below our top curve or our top arch there, I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch diameter hole, just a little less than the 1/2 inch that this magnet is long, to accept this magnet so that it can stick on, well, the side of the fridge or the side of the microwave or whatever it is that you want to adhere it to magnetically. Again, totally optional, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this in here and have ourselves a magnetic mount. Okay, and the last step for this here is we're just going to peel off this pattern, and we're going to give this a good sanding all the way around. You want to sand all of the surfaces. These sharp corners here, you want to really break them down a little bit. Break those corners to make them a lot softer as well. The sharp corners right here, break that and break this one as well to make them a little softer. And, well, you know what? I'll show you what to do with it from there. Well, we've got it sanded up exactly like we want it. It looks great, it feels good, and I'm just going to use a drop of this CA glue gel. This is from Gorilla Glue. I kind of like this stuff, it works really well. And we're going to glue in our magnet into our hole. And this will allow it to be mounted, as I said, to a fridge or the side of the microwave or what have you. So there you go. We'll let that set up. And that, guys, is basically our toaster tongs done. Now, if you're wondering what these little notches here are for, truth be told, I use my toaster tongs more in the toaster oven than what I do in the actual toaster. I do reach in and pull out my toast or whatever from the toaster oven, but a lot of times I like to pull the rack and slide it out. And I've always kind of just hooked it with the tongs and done one of these things, and it's very awkward. So these notches here actually hook onto the rack or the cooking rack of the toaster oven to allow me to pull it out, and then the opposite side to hook the front and push it back in. So very functional notches, but if you have no intentions of ever using it in a toaster oven, you don't have to do those. You can do just the usual shape like my original design, which was this one here. So there you go, guys. That is the toaster tongs. At this point, I see a piece there where I missed sanding. I'll just take care of that right here and now. But now it's time to put a finish on these. And I don't really like using things like varnish or anything like that when it comes to doing toaster tongs or things that touch food. So let me show you what I want to do for this. Now for the coating on my toaster tongs, I like to use this. And what this is cutting board coating. Now this is a mixture that I make. I did a show about it quite some time ago, and I'll post a link to that below in case you guys want to use this coating. It's great for your end grain cutting boards, for things like this, your toaster tongs. So I'm just placing here a little bit with a cotton swab just in those grooves to make sure that gets coated. And it's really not difficult to coat these guys. It's nothing special. Just smear this crap all over your toaster tongs. Let it sit for 10-15 minutes after you get it smeared on, and then wipe off the excess essentially. And that's all it takes. You can see how that really soaks in, gives that really nice chocolate brown color of the walnut. But these ones here, that's all these have ever received, is every once in a while you can just give them another little recoating. Do it about the same that you would, say, with your cutting board. So if you notice your cutting board is looking a little dry and it needs a new coating, well, do your toaster tongs at the same time. And there you go. All this is, guys, is just a mixture in certain ratios of mineral oil and paraffin wax. That's all it is. It's nothing special. All right. So there we go. We're going to let that sit now for about 10 minutes. We'll give that a wipe down after 10 minutes, and that'll be all she wrote. Well, I might as well give these a coating too. They could probably use it. And there you have it. Toaster tongs, both the original and then the new design with the rack pulls or pushes built in. Guys, if you are one of these people that make your toast in a toaster and reach in with a fork to try to pull it out, then this project is designed for you, because you are destined to electrocute yourself sticking forks or knives inside a live toaster with the thing plugged in. Don't do that. Regardless of how harmless it may seem and you're thinking, nothing's gonna happen, it just takes one little slip to regret that choice. So bottom line here is that the wood is non-conductive, so you can reach in, pull out those pieces of toast without burning your fingers. That's the least of your worries, and without the worry of electrocution against the live rails on the side. The rack pulls for the toaster oven, guys, 100% optional, as is the embedded magnet. It's just for mounting or hanging it somewhere or making it easy to access or grab. If something isn't easy to use, if something isn't easily accessible, if something isn't right there at your fingertips, chances are you're not going to use it. Whether it be safety equipment in the shop or whether it be something like a utensil that makes it that you can grab your toast out of the toaster because it's burning or because you're toasting it too much or what have you. So if it's there, easy to use, quick, you're going to use it. If it's not, you're going to use whatever's at hand, and sometimes that is your hand, and honestly, it's a good way to get burned. So guys, give this one a try. Great way to make or use up scrap. Fantastic scrap project. It takes all of about 10 minutes at the most. 10 minutes to get these things marked out, laid out, and cut. The sanding takes about another 10 to 20 minutes. So all in all, in about a half an hour, you've got yourself one heck of a great gift idea. And that cutting board coating, that is fantastic on these things. Food safe, it's durable because of the paraffin wax that's in with the mineral oil, so it lasts a while, and easy to recoat. You wipe it on and wait for a while, wipe it off. That's all there is to it. You don't have to have drying time. Even if it's wet and you get some of your food, it's still non-toxic, so it doesn't matter. Heck, people ingest mineral oil for medical conditions, so it's nothing that's going to hurt you. Either way, guys, a wonderful project, a wonderful gift idea, a wonderful thing to have in your house, just an all-around load of fun. And I hope you're going to give this one a try. And guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. A little shorter project today, a nice, quick, easy one, but I was making it anyway because I had the need for those rack pulls, and I just thought I would bring it to the show, even though we've done it in the past. So if you're interested in that old show when I was back there and awkward in front of the camera and that sort of thing, I'm going to post the link to that down below. I'm also going to post the link below to that cutting board coating. Whether you want it for an actual cutting board or whether you want it to make your own toaster tongs and give it a good coating, or even if you just want to make some and give that as a gift to someone that you know has an end grain cutting board, it's a win-win situation. If you haven't already, guys, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. If you click that bell, then you're not going to miss the notifications of future episodes of the show. I hope that you enjoyed today's content. Guys, just a fun little project. I hope you're going to give this one a whirl and, get rid of some of that old maple, cherry, whatever you've got in your scrap bin. And more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.